Next, we have State Representative, the Representative District 74. I know it's a sort of a small sliver of our parish, but we have people in the parish that want to hear from these candidates, so thank y'all so much for coming. We have Mr. Larry Freeman and Ms. Cindy Winch. So again, thank y'all for coming today. We're going to start with the opening statement. So begin with Mr. Freeman. You have 3 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Please put the mic as close to your face as you can. I apologize, Mr. Freeman.
First of all, I want to thank the Chamber here for having this forum. It's a great forum in Washington Parish, and I really appreciate you being invited to speak. My name is Larry Freeman. I'm running for District 74. I'm 58 years old. I live in a rural area of St. Tammany called Walnut. I am married to my wife Denise for 20 years. I have 2 wonderful children. Savannah, who's 19, is a sophomore at the University of Southern Mississippi, and Lorenzo, 16, is a junior at St. Paul's. After graduating high school, I went to Southeastern Louisiana University, spent 4 years from 1979 to 1983. In 1983, I transferred to LSU Medical Center in New Orleans and obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in physical therapy. I practiced physical therapy for 7 years. I was a licensed physical therapist and athletic trainer. During the time I was working, I also was promoted to the administrator of an outpatient clinic. While working, I decided to go back to law school in 1988. But I went through the night program. I worked all day and then went to Loyola University LA. In 1992, I obtained my Juris Doctorate degree. After obtaining my degree, I decided to go into the practice of law. I interviewed with one law firm, got hired, and have been there for the last 25 years. I made partner after 3 years and have been a managing partner of my law firm for the past 23 years. I represent businesses and insurance companies across the state. I fight with trial lawyers every day, and they are not happy that I'm running for this seat. I have worked very hard over these years to establish good relationships with businesses and industry around the state by representing them in all corners of the state. I will continue working very hard for business and industry to try to bring those jobs and that business back to Louisiana for us to help our kids and our grandchildren get better jobs when they get out of school. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you, and of course I'm asking for your support and your vote in this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. One housekeeping thing I forgot to mention before we started. Ms. Cindy, I'm not sure how long you've been here. The card system at when half your time is expired, you'll see that one. When 30 seconds till you are to complete, you'll see that one. And you have 10 seconds left, you'll see that one. I just want to make sure, I apologize for that. You have 3 minutes for your opening statement, Ms. Winch.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for hearing us out. My name is Cindy Renee Winch, and I'm running for State House District 74. I'm not exactly a traditional candidate. I was raised in Cajun country by farmers, ranchers, mechanics, teachers, and family business owners. My father was a helicopter mechanic, and my mother was a public school teacher. And they all taught me that all you needed was good education and strong work ethic to live the American dream, which is no longer the reality for so many of us hard workers. A family of 4 in the state of Louisiana must earn $54,000 to fulfill basic needs, of which the vast majority of our district does not make. My volunteers and I have been door knocking and met with a large number of locals, a shocking number of locals, who express their ongoing financial fears and struggles as they try to pay for the rising cost of living, health care, taxes, and education. All the while, I feel that our representation in Baton Rouge has been ignoring the voices of the middle class, the working class, small towns, and rural areas. And I want change, and I believe I can bring that with my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winch. We're going to go to question number 1, and Ms. Winch, you'll start first. It says, why are you running for this office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Because we deserve better. I've witnessed, there's too many times where I've listened to a candidate and they told me exactly what I wanted to hear, but when they got in office, They didn't vote that way. They voted for special interest groups. They became corrupt, and I'm fed up with that. I feel Baton Rouge has been ignoring our voices, and so I'm bringing a new type of, well, not new, actually this is the way it should be. I'm a public servant, not a politician. I'm beholden to you, the taxpayers, not to big lobbyists, major corporations. One example of bad government that is just disgusting to me is during the Jindal administration, there was an opportunity to accept internet access through federal grants. And they declined it. So that means our taxpayer dollars went to other states so they can have rural internet access. So we paid for another state's rural internet access. And so we are left with nothing. A more recent example of like why I'm running for office is during this past session, there was a lot of issues on the table that directly relate to our priorities. When I tried to contact the representative, he didn't respond, no email, nothing, no postcard, no message, no call back. And it infuriated me. I went to his office in Avita Springs. There were dust balls collecting. And that is not, we hired this man to do nothing or to ignore our voices. And I feel that I will work full-time, year-round, and there will actually be somebody in the office.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. Mr. Freeman, why are you running for this office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
As I told you in my opening, I have two children, 19-year-old and 16-year-old. One is in college and one is in high school. That is the reason why I'm running. For my children, your children, and your grandchildren. I want my children to have an opportunity to get a good paying job in Louisiana when they're finished. I don't want them to have to leave the state like so many of folks' children are doing, having to go to Texas or our bordering states to get a job. I want my children to have this opportunity to work in Louisiana and have a good paying job. Now, how do we do that? We have to bring in business. I know of no individual that employs 50, 100, 200 people. Only businesses do that. We have to make our state business friendly. We have to lower business taxes. We have to take out these antiquated taxes that are burdening businesses. Now, we can't do that on the backs of individuals. We have to change the tax structure for both individuals and business to make this state business friendly. But that's the only way we're going to get jobs, folks, is to have businesses. So don't kid yourselves. We have to bring business into this state. We have to maintain the businesses in this state. And that's the main reason I'm running. One other quick reason, insurance rates. I have 2 teenage children. You can imagine the check I write when I have to pay this car insurance for these kids. We have to lower these rates. That's also affecting the business climate in the state. It's affecting the individuals. We have to lower the insurance costs, and we need to do that through tort reform. Targeted, specific tort reform that will work. And I have some ideas on how to do that. So those are the 2 main reasons I'm running. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Question number 2, we'll begin with Mr. Freeman. What are the biggest issues facing Louisiana, and how do you address them? You have 2 minutes to respond.
The biggest issues facing Louisiana is, I call it the 3-pronged problem: taxes, spending, and budget. We have to reform our tax code. We have too many dedicated taxes. We have to be able to give the legislature the ability to shift money from areas that don't need as much to areas that do need. And the only way we can do that is to reform our tax code and eliminate the dedicated taxes. That's going to take some very strong leadership and some consensus in the legislature to do that, because you can affect special interests. And the special interests would be very upset when you start attacking their dedications. The second part of that is the spending. We reform our tax code and lower our taxes, we have to also reduce our spending, because otherwise we'll blow up the budget. So we have to start looking at waste in other areas. We also have to decide is the state. What is the state going to be involved in? The state cannot be everything to everybody. So we have to decide what is important for the state to be spending its money on versus what can be pushed more to the local side. And third prong of that test is the budgeting process. We have to reform the budgeting process. I'd like to see us go to zero-based budgeting, where the committees have to come in with a zero budget, provide us with the budget, and then show us why they need this money. And then, more importantly, show us that they're getting the results for the money they're getting. Otherwise, they will not get the same money again next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Winch, same question. What are the biggest issues facing Louisiana, and how will you begin to resolve them? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I'll narrow it down to two, but the first one is lack of investing in infrastructure. Those businesses that he speaks of, they're not even going to come if there's no infrastructure in place in the first place. For about a generation, I've seen politicians completely ignore, put infrastructure and public education way down, totem pole. Also, I know what it feels like to go to school. I went to college. After that, I couldn't find a decent paying career in my field, so I chose to go into the oil fields of the Gulf of Mexico. My background, that was my only option, to have a decent paying job with health benefits. After getting laid off in the last round of layoffs, I decided to stay in the North Shore and look for a long-term, career. And I noticed, I took tech jobs, side gigs, and I saw that so many of us are struggling to make ends meet. A lot of us are commuting all the way to New Orleans, or we just throw our hands up in the air. Well, the way we can fix the lack of investment in infrastructure is by coordinating with other legislatures of rural districts as well. We can get together and obtain federal grants and investments. Another issue is government overreach. I'm tired of outreach telling us what we can and can't do. I'm for local control. For example, right now, living wages. The minimum wage, it is illegal to change the minimum wage in the state of Louisiana. Our minimum wage is whatever DC decides. Oh, running short. And so I want to repeal the state ban and have Louisianians decide on living wages instead of some politicians in DC.
Thank you, Ms. Winch. Question number 3, we'll begin with Ms. Winch. District 74 covers 3 very different parishes. How is Washington Parish different from the other 2? And what will you do to ensure that we are properly represented? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, District 74 is mostly small towns and rural areas. In fact, the largest town is New Springs. And I visit every single parish. I've knocked on doors. I've been to the neighborhoods. I've seen the abandoned homes, the blighted communities, and I've also seen the resuscitation of other small towns. So I actually believe that there is commonality between all 3 parishes in this district. And that is, we need, I feel that we need to speak to the people, or have the people come to us. I believe that the state legislature has been ignoring the working class, the middle class, the small towns, the rural areas, and I want to change that because that's where I'm from. I lived on a farm. I know what we struggled. I remember the cheese wheel. I remember getting the little stamps, but we were hard workers. I believe there's good in government, and they are supposed to provide the basic services, and they haven't been in the rural areas of our district.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman, same question. District 74 covers 3 very different parishes. How is Washington Parish different from the other 2? And what will you do to ensure that we are properly represented? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you. I have been around Washington Parish. I've been in Mount Herman, Stony Point, those particular areas. Wonderful, wonderful people. But the problem we are faced with, and I think it will transcend all 3 parishes, is we need economic development. Without jobs in Washington Parish is suffering, and they need more economic development. They need more jobs. So while I think Washington may be unique in its way, but I think it's also similar to these other parishes when it comes to economic development. One thing that was talked about earlier, and has been talked about, is rural broadband. I don't have internet at my own house. I live in St. Tammany Parish, so it is not unique to Washington Parish. We need rural broadband. My son and my daughter, when she was there, had to use a hotspot to try to access the internet to do their homework. It's unfortunate. We need to work. I'd love to work. Senator Mazzella is working on that. Senator Cassidy at the federal level is working on that. And I plan on joining them in that fight to get it brought to Washington, St. Tammany, and St. Joseph Parish. Those are the main things that we need. I spoke to the volunteer fire department in Mount Herman. They don't have enough money to properly outfit their volunteer fire department. We need to fix these kind of problems for my parish and my district, District 74. So we need to bring more money to the volunteer fire department and volunteer fire departments of these rural areas and make sure they're equipped to handle the emergencies and the fires that occur in this parish.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Question number 4, we'll give it to you, Mr. Freeman. What is the role of government? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, let me first start with a quote from probably the greatest president of my lifetime, Ronald Reagan. And the person's worst fear is when someone knocks on their door and says, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you." I am a small, limited government conservative. I believe the government has a role, but it is a limited one. And the role of government, in my opinion, is to create an environment for business and people to flourish and then get out of the way. We have to get away from overburdened regulations. We have too many laws on the books. We're putting hundreds of laws on the books in every legislative session, but we're not taking any off. We just keep adding and adding and adding. And all we're doing is layering burden on top of burden on the individuals. We talked about permitting processes in Washington Parish or businesses and how they operate. So I believe the role of government is a limited one, and we need to cut back on the governmental regulations and burden we're putting on people. So Ronald Reagan was right. When the government says they're there to help you, you need to be very cautious about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Winch, second question. What is the role of government in your opinion? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, in the state of Louisiana, I've witnessed the so-called limited government. That's what they preach. But what I've seen is overreaching and preventing local control. But more recently, I will talk about the good of the local government. Perfect examples recently is Medicaid. Medicaid was expanded. Well, because of that, a lot more of us are not freaking out when we go to the prescription counter. We're not rationing our medicines, our prescriptions, our appointments. I believe that the role of government is to protect the rights and protect the people, provide basic services, and do that with fair taxation. And that is not been the case for the past generation. Also, the role of government should be listening to voters. And I feel that is not the case, at least in my district, on the state level. I feel there are way too many legislators that are voting against the best interests of the voters. If you look at the polls, what the legislators are doing is completely opposite of what us want. And so I think that needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question number 5, we'll start with you, Ms. Lynch. Why should the citizens of Washington Parish vote for you? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I grew up on a farm. I've had plenty of experiences. I worked in the oil fields in the Gulf of Mexico, so I know the instability of work. I worked in rural areas, so I'm very familiar with what it's like to not earn a living wage, try to make things meet. I know what it's like to ration healthcare and medical care because even though I have a job, I'm too quote unquote rich to get Medicaid. So I understand a lot of plight with those that are struggling with daily financial decisions. And unlike our current representative, I will be accessible to you. I will be working year-round to provide the representation and services that you deserve. I will have an office in the district, and someone will be there. Another idea, I want more accessibility. When we were knocking on doors, I noticed that there were quite a few disabled and homebound residents, and they don't have a say at all. So what I want to do is, I want to have a website and I want to have a calendar, and you can see when I'm available. You can click and have an appointment with me. If you are homebound or disabled, I will come to your home so we can discuss. And finally, I feel that I do agree that the taxes need to be reformed, but they need to be reformed in a different way. They need to be reformed in a way that benefits the working and middle class and small businesses and family-owned businesses. So we need to rein in corporate welfare, and large corporations need to pay their fair share of property taxes.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. Now we'll go to our closing statements. Y'all have 2 minutes. We'll start with Mr. Freeman.
I didn't have a chance.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got one.
Roll. Why we should vote for you?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping me in line.
No problem. I believe that the best reasons to vote for me is number one, my education and experience. I have been working as a practicing physical therapist for 7 years and then a practicing attorney for 25 years. As an attorney, I have run a small business. We have 30 employees, we have to make payroll, we have to do budgets, and we provide health insurance to all of our employees. So I know what it means to run a business, and I know what it means to have the government dictating things to run on top of businesses. That experience will carry me over again. As an attorney, we have to negotiate with the other side. So we have to build coalitions and have to learn how to get along with folks that may be adversarial to us. In order to do that, in fact, you have to do that Baton Rouge to get things done. So I believe I have that experience and that know-how to form those coalitions, to negotiate across the aisle, and try to find common ground, things we can agree on, to get good legislation passed for the people of our district. I am going to be accessible as well. I will have an office in the district. Our predecessor has an office in the district as well. But I do have to agree with Ms. Lynch. I've heard that he is inaccessible, and we need to have more accessibility for the people. When we get phone calls, we need to return emails, we need to answer them. We answer to the people. I want to serve the people of St. Tammany, of Washington, and Tangipahoa Parish. And the only way I know how to do that, as an attorney, I have clients, I have to return their phone calls and their emails. So the only way I know to do that is to be responsible and responsive to their needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Now we'll go to closing statements. Mr. Freeman, you have 2 minutes.
Again, thank you, Chamber, for having this forum today. It's been very, very informative for the other folks and myself to be here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you attending, and I would surely ask for your vote. I am conservative, small government person, candidate here. I believe in lower taxes. I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in personal property rights. We need that type of voice in the legislature. This is an historic election, potentially a historic election with the turnover we have. And if we get the right folks in these positions to bring conservative principles to this state, we can make a difference. We can turn the state around. We have a lot of work to do. We have to get away from the old Huey Long type politics and bring us into the 20th century, the 21st century. We need to compete with our neighbors, and the way to do that is to reform our tax code, to lower our insurance rates, and improve ourselves from being on the bottom of all the good lists. We need to improve our education. That is going to be very important to provide educated and trained workers for the businesses that we hope to bring in for economic development. So again, I ask you for your vote. I ask you for your support. Early voting is September 28th, and then the elections on October 12th. Please remember that LSU plays Florida on that day, so early voting may be in the cards for you. So again, I ask you to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Wicks, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
So even though I'm not a smooth-talking politician, I hope you will consider hiring me as your next House of Representative, because I'm going to work year-round, all 4 years, and you're going to see me, for better or for worse. I will plan town halls in each area of the district, so you can come and see me, and we can discuss, kind of like meet and greets. I feel that the priorities should be more aligned with providing a fair playing field and opportunities to the working middle class, which has not been the case for almost a generation. I feel that we need public infrastructure. That is a huge one in the rural areas. Is we need to expand internet access and public transportation. I'm not just talking about 4 lanes. I'm talking about bus routes, monorails, metro rails. Anything outside the box. I'm a strong advocate of public education and job retraining. I feel that economic development, because my opponent talks about businesses. Well, I'm for family businesses, small independent contractors. That is who the government should be representing. And they should be voting in a way that supports and helps them have a fair chance to succeed. All right, if you are interested in my platform, you can see me afterwards at the Sugar Shack, or you can go to my website or Facebook page at cindyforworkingfamilies.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wicks. Give these candidates a round of applause.